Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wicked Art. It's Wicked here, and today we're going to be talking about action, combat, punching, and stuff like that. Since I'm working on a graphic novel, I thought we'd kind of go over that, like how to do like an epic fight scene pose, like how you can go about setting that up. First of all, I want to thank everybody for subscribing. We're almost at 300. I'd really love to get to 500 just for the simple fact of the community tab. That way I can get in touch with you guys more with doing polls and getting opinions on what you want to see on certain days and what you're feeling. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys again. I really, really, really do appreciate that. But we're going to go ahead and get into this. Like I said, I'm working on a graphic novel. And like I said, when I'm done with it, I'll give you more. But I'm just going to kind of draw on this rectangle. Just kind of, show like if this was a strip from the comic book page. Um, but like how we could set up, the fight itself. And for some reason, my camera is not focusing. There we go. Okay, so I've just drawn in a rectangle here. The next thing I want to do is kind of set up. And this is just going to be the basic generic setup. Any of the details and stuff that you want to put in there, maybe we can cover that in a later video. But, you just want to think about like the angles of things and really like exaggerating and showing that energy and motion of the person who's being like, this will be like somebody who's getting punched in the mouth, right? So I can just draw in the basic shape of my head here, right? I could come in and go ahead and establish my fist. Get a little bit more of a like a knuckle shape here. Come down. And then just really capturing the energy that's coming from that punch. To set it up. So like this would be we'll just make it a female. But yeah, just really making sure that we get and capture the motion of the punch itself. Okay, so we don't have to be like super defined right now. We can just have in there what it is we want to see. Maybe you could do like a vague expression, right? Like I could open this person's mouth so that you know that they're getting punched in the face, right? And just put like a little nose in here, general idea for the eyes. With this person's being hit in the face, right? So we can clean up inside the fist because we would want that to be more prevalent of where they're getting hit, right? And then the rest of this person's body, of whom we will make a female. Also, make it a girl fight. And just extending the body in a way. So think of it, this is kind of like like in a movie, it's like storyboarding. Okay, so you're really just trying to set up a base of the action that's going on, right? So like that's an example of what you could do for a close up, and that took a little more than a minute, maybe two, to just set it up, right? And then I would go in and just do things like adding the details, like which way their hair was going, things like that. That's when you come in on this stage, and maybe this person's yelling too from punching them in the face. So it doesn't have to be super detailed at the moment when you're initially starting these things. Okay. So again, that's just a quick example of how you can do it, so that you can get like close-up shots too, right? We don't want everything to be at a distance, but I'm sure most of you want to know how to do it with the full body too, in case you wanted to do it that way. So for close-up, I just wanted that to just be an example, just nice and loose and ready to go. But the main thing was just that energy of motion. You can feel that line work, of the fist coming towards the face. Okay. So all you would do from there is, like I said, then you would just go in and start adding whatever details you wanted to the image to bring it out more. Okay. Now, as far as a fight goes with, like a full body shot, so we can do the same thing, like someone's getting kind of, rocked in the face, right? We still build out our head shape, okay? And then we would want to start doing the same things that we've been learning with anatomy to build out the different shapes and the angles. So you have to really think about that energy of motion. That's why I like to do it this way, where we keep it a little loose and sketchy, just so that it captures the motion of what's going on in the image, right? So like I would strongly suggest, like, look up scenes from, whether it's Dragon Ball, Demon Slayer, anything like that, just to see different poses and just study those. Okay, so like I am exaggerating the hand down, and capturing that motion of a punch, right? And then, from here, thinking about, okay, well, how hard is this guy punching? Is he like running in and just really just laying it into him? So things like that will help you determine just how much the body is contorted or twisted, how much they're leaning forward. And again, we're just setting up the basics of what they're actually doing. Now I'm fixing this arm just because I think I shortened it too much. So let's kind of stretch it out a little bit more, make it a little bit more believable. I mean, unless your character just has one short arm, but mine, I'm gonna try to keep it a little bit more even. Okay, so I have my guy coming through here, but I really want him to be leaning in to this punch. So I'm just going to do the same thing. And this is where, again, it just comes from after studying, the anatomy a little bit to really be able to capture it this way as opposed to drawing the shapes out, which you could still do. You could still break it down and draw the shapes out that way. I'm probably going to make this chest a little bit bigger. Bring it down some more. And then I'm really going to make this person, like I said, just leaning in to the punch itself, right? So I'm just going to draw that back thigh, back to this area, which could probably be a little shorter. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I know I keep going back and fixing and changing things, but it doesn't have to be like super perfect. Just as long as you're capturing that motion that's coming down. Okay. Get myself a basic foot shape in here. Take that up. Again, just adjust however I need to make sure that they look like they're punching. Okay. I'm going to cut this down right here. Right? Since they're stretching forward that way, you have to kind of picture the bodies running through. Okay, I've got a little bit that pelvic region here and stretching out from there. And that thigh just goes back, go into the knees. Maybe make it a little bit bigger right there. Okay. So that itself is the punch, but what about the person receiving the punch? Well, in order to really kind of capture what's happening, like if this is a superhero, right? So let's just say that this is somebody who's, super muscular. I want to try to capture the power of that hit that's coming through on the body. All right, so I want to build that body out. And, kind of decide where the chest's going to be, things like that, to really help, again, sell what's going on in the image. Okay, so like right now it doesn't look like much, but once we get, things in here like the directions of the arms, right, I have my shoulders come out this way. So I get in there, I get my forearms, and it goes back into the hand. And this person's just really getting knocked out hard. Okay, he's really, think of it kind of like the old saying where like, oh, you got Superman punch. That's what we're kind of going for here. So like that can be the jawline, and the head's really turned. You can see part of the shoulder here. This person's flying down. And again, this is where just that uh, importance of knowing anatomy. And like I said, I'm just drawing generic fingers on here just because we would go in and add in the details later, but you get the idea of what's going on, right? I mean, this dude's getting rocked so hard that, we're going to make his body contort. And just bend it and twist in ways that you feel the blow of what's happening. Like we could really exaggerate the punch and make it to where his legs are just flopping back this way. And coming out, right? You could do little spittles of stuff that's coming and just flying out of his mouth, and see how that kind of sells, what it is that we're working to achieve, right? Then I would go in here and I would start putting the clothes on and things like that. So you just really want to keep and stay loose with what you're doing, right? You could do like a whole sequence, right? Like he punches this guy, and then in the next frame, he's fallen to the ground. So like we could take the head here, right? This is the person who's down, and then maybe he's trying to block his face from the guy who's just now going to be on top and pummeling him down. Right, so just little things like that, just coming in, finding the shoulders, right? Build the arms out. And the forearms cross right there in front of the bicep. So he's kind of blocking his face. Right, we can see a little bit of the back here. So we'd want to capture, that shape there. Come over here, we have the shoulder again. So we build up the shoulder that way. And then just try to work in everything that we can to make it look like he's trying to block what's going on. Alright, so we can get the forearm here. And then maybe he's just kind of throwing his hands up on this side to block as well. Right, and then what else would we be able to see? Well, depending on how the guy's over and how he landed, right? So we'll say this person is still trying to squirm away, so like maybe he would have, the leg up. And another good way to kind of like help you capture stuff like this, like especially if it's like a fight that's been to the ground, look up some, if you're young and watching this, obviously get your parents' permission to look up these images, but you're an adult and you're just learning, or you're a teenager and you got that permission already, you could look up UFC fights, right? See how it looks. If there's a video, you can just take a still frame of it, and see how it looks from the different angles. see, we'll go down this way. Bring the knee out more, right? And then we can just kind of bring the calf back and have the foot right here. Okay, so like we're starting to build up the guy who just punched him. So I'm building out that chest. All right, so we have like right down in here. Maybe he's already striking right here to finish off. So I would just get that bicep shape and pull that up. Bring that in. Okay, and then I could adjust the shape of my chest just a little bit. Okay, and as that shoulder comes in, you know, our guy's looking over him. And I'm just kind of drawing on top of everything, just kind of save space. I mean, obviously, these would be different scenes. But this guy is now on top and completely dominating the battle. Right? So we could put like another fist here. To just show that, you know, we're about to come down with another punch. And then stretch that body down. And kind of keep it even. Make that be the center. And then maybe catch a hint of the guy on the ground's leg. So it's like he's coming into the middle and coming down to punch on him. Okay. So that's just a couple ways that we could do that, right? So let's do, yeah, that's more of like a boxing fighting type thing. Like maybe we want a little bit more. Maybe we want to come in and tell you what I'll do. I'll go ahead and I'll flip the page and we'll just do it on the other side. All right. So I'm going to come in here and let's do another. Okay, so let's start with our person. Maybe they're going to do a kick. So we're going to start with their head. And we can get a line in there just so we know where everything's at. And this person's going to be coming around to kick someone's head. It could be male, it could be female, it doesn't matter. Just the anatomy of the person is going to make all the difference in the world on how that looks. So we have a forearm. Think about like the way the hand is going to be turned when they're throwing a kick, right? And then we just take that out. And that'd be our forearm there, right? And we see probably a little bit more of the bicep here as well. We're gonna have a... Okay, I'm sorry about that little freak out with the autofocus thing. I'm trying to figure out how to get that to stop doing what it does as well too. Um, Having all kinds of technical difficulties this week. But yeah, so this is basically what I ended up with when I was sketching it out. So again, I apologize for that cutting out like that. Um, Sometimes my camera just does not want to work with me. All right. But again, I'm just going to sit here and draw out the shapes of my muscle. You know, my arm would be kind of fading back here behind the body. You know, and as I come down into the legs, you know, really getting that calf shape, come out. And then we would just work in our foot and how that's shaped, or, you know, at least the angle that's going from. Again, does not have to be perfect. We are just trying to capture the actual attack itself. Okay. So now I can come in here, get a baseline for the knee. You know, we had to have that calf bend come in behind the thigh and have that stretch out like that. And same thing with the rest of the leg. Just have that come down into the foot. And shape that out that way, right? It's just a basic, just generic thing. And then we could work on the person that's being attacked. So like what kind of attack were they going for? So we'll say it's a headshot. So I want to clean out and showcase the body of this person first by erasing out what shouldn't be behind it, right? Get a little bit of that chest right here, down into the body that way. We can continue back up here with the shoulder right here, right? And then go up into the trapezius. Kind of get that curve for the head here. It's really being cocked sideways, like they just got kicked in the head. Probably stretch that up a little bit. A little bit bigger head. But you get the idea. Someone's getting their head kicked and it's turning it sideways. Okay. So now that that's in there, I can finish out the rest of what I would see. So like that back shoulder and arching the back this way. If it helps, sometimes you can draw like a spine in here to help you get that balance of where things would be. So like I'd probably draw this head a little bit bigger, and then we could shorten up this chest here, right? So now that I have my spine back here, I can now take the buttocks right there and have those turns. Bring the thigh and stretch it this way. Same from down here. That slight bend and turn into the calf to where they're losing their balance. Okay. So again, just staying nice and loose. Um, since we want them to kind of look like they're falling back, we can lift the leg up off the ground. All right. So this person is being kicked in the face. Now, I can see by looking at this, and he kind of stretch this up a little bit more. Again, not going to be too much of a perfectionist, but some things tend to catch my eye and just really throws me off visually. Okay, just something like that. It just depends on the body type of the person they're fighting. And, you know, we get ourselves a nice little kick in the face. Another thing we can do is much like with the first image, right? We could come in here and do, you know, kind of the same thing. We'll have them punch them in the face, but um, you know, change the angle at which we're seeing it. So like I can build in my shoulders this way and have my triceps come out and my bicep. Let's think about where that's going to be. Okay, and then once I have that, I can work in my forearms. Again, just trying to keep that motion. So I'm stretching it out. And don't get frustrated. Your first few, especially if you're like brand new and you're just trying to jump in and swim without studying anatomy, your first few are not going to look good. But as long as you can capture the motion, I mean, that's pretty good in and of itself. So don't just like give up on it because you're not getting, you know, the first, you know, fight drawing you're doing down. It's going to take time and practice. Okay, so we got my chest in there, which means I can swing my shoulder out behind the head. And I can work on my bicep. A little elbow here. And then we can just kind of bend the forearm back as it's kind of fading into the background here. So again, looking up, you know, references of people fighting, kind of like we did with the gesture drawings video, where you just kind of look up things and try to sketch them out as quickly as possible. That's about the same difference as to what we're doing here. Okay, except this time, you know, you're trying to take what you learned from that and draw from, you know, your memory instead. So I would say start with references first, and then you can come in and draw from what you've learned from that and try to get it, you know, to work the way you want. And we're going to make him kind of like run like a running punch. Okay, so I kind of want to bring that thigh coming this way. All right, let's get a knee shape in here. And we'll curve down the calf. We want it to kind of look like it's fading, like the leg's bending. So we kind of want to shorten it down here at the bottom. Get a little bit of a foot shape in here. right? And if that's the case, if we're running forward like that, okay, we want to kind of have our thigh bending back behind the body since we're running, and that'll make it a little bit more believable as to what they're doing. Okay, again, so if our person's punching, then somebody's got to be getting punched. And this is only for if you want it to make contact. I mean, like, you could do things where, like, the person has already punched and it's through and it's not touching, but we're just going more for that. It's made the contact on there. Okay, so this person's been hit right in the face. So we want the head to turn away from the body. So, depending on where you kind of put that ear at, we'll determine that. So I'm going to kind of put our neck and shoulder out this way. And we can bring it out. We'll see a little bit the bicep, tricep here. Right, and then just have that bend and arch back. And maybe their hand is turning this way. Like that. Okay, same thing. I can come on this other side here. Straighten this head out a little bit. Okay, and then I can come in and make a chest shape. Again, just depending on the size of the person and what body type. That's all going to be different. And we can actually do that. We can make another video on drawing different body types, whether it's a really big sumo wrestler looking guy, somebody who's skinny. We can do obviously both male and female, but just showing how to practice that. So just let me know down in the comments if that's something that you're interested in, is drawing different body types. That could be fun. It's good practice too. Because the other thing is, when I'm making these videos, it's not just practice for you guys. It is also practice for myself to keep, trying to get better that way. All right, let's see. We got a little bit of the midsection. And since we're kind of stretching it out, we want that contorted kind of look. Run down into that pelvic region. So our leg kind of come out. Maybe have the foot back here. These guys that I'm drawing are getting punched really hard. Okay, so bring that out. Probably want to curve this a little bit more. It's more like a bottom. But yeah, want to bring that out this way. Have the calf come around. See a little bit of that kneecap right there. And a tiny bit of the foot. Again, looks like our person's getting rocked in the face. Okay? Really just getting hit hard. And what I'll do is we'll do one more, kind of looking like a person's getting kicked in the face. So what we'll do is we'll start, and this is what's helpful too. Like, if you want the foot to be the main thing so you really can see how that person's getting kicked, start with the foot. Make it the biggest thing that's in the image. All right, we're going to bring that down. And then you have to start thinking about, like we talked with, perspective and where things are facing. right? So that's going into my calf. Okay, I got a little bit of my thigh. It's going to come out. Again, we're doing some foreshortening just to show that distance. All right, so we have that little bit of that leg there, and come out with the body and make it turned. Right, we get a little bit of that pelvic region drawn in there. And bring the other leg out just for now. We'll leave it like that. And then we'll want a little bit to come under right here, but again, we'll come back to that. We want to finish building out this body first. All right, so we can kind of come out with it. Curve. Really be over dramatic, honestly, with the shape. Again, just depends on the style you're going for too. But it's just a good way to kind of storyboard out what's going on in the scene. That way you have a complete understanding of what's going on without having to spend so much time drawing the details first. And that way it's a lot easier for you. Drawing our head here, right? Kind of curve our neck around, come out to our shoulders. Have that kind of disappear into that chest shape. All right, and then we could get a little bit of our hand in here with our forearm shape. Right? Okay, I can come down here into this leg. Since it's bent this way, I can go ahead and start with the calf muscle and just lead that right down into the ankle and the foot. And come out that way. So our person is kicking. We're really selling that foot forward. And this is going to be where I was talking about, where you don't have to make the contact to sell what's going on, right? So instead of like with these where we're like really close to it, right, I can now shift back this way, right? So we can really turn the head around. So where my eyes are going, like this person has just really been kicked. Come down here with the neck. And like maybe have the back start to bend this way. Get that spine to run up in there. And then bring our body out this way. Okay. Now if I'm running down into my neck, that means I'm going to see a lot of my shoulder here. Okay, so that's built up. And then just depending on what you want the person doing. So like this person is just getting, really rocked backwards. So the momentum would kind of fling, the arms back as if they were about to turn into a flip, maybe. So we just have our arms go back that way. You'd want the fingers to be nice and loose. Just because they're like losing the control of their body. Maybe they're stunned or shocked. Okay, we'd have our other arm too, but you just kind of have to decide how much of it you're seeing, what angle. So sometimes drawing through the body can help you if you need. Okay, so kind of foreshortened a little because his arm's out in the distance. Okay, now same thing. You want to try and make your thumbs and your fingers a little bit looser. Okay, again, we're coming back later to add in detail, so I don't care how, goofy my fingers look. Like these look like more like tiger claws, and these ones, I'm just setting up the picture is all we're trying to do. Okay, so now come in here and get the back end of the body, and then we would really have thighs stretch and bend back this way. Okay, and I would bring those out on this end. Okay, again, kind of foreshorten a little bit. And bring that calf there. We see a slight bit of the knee. And bring that down, and we would have our foot down in here. And you're not really missing nothing. I ran out of page down here, so just get this calf shape in there, and you'll be fine. And then get a little tiny bit of the leg that's going to be a little bit further away. And shape our foot out like that. And we got our person getting kicked in the face. Okay, so again, make sure that you practice, practice, practice. If you want to be able to at least set up like this, okay? I hope you learned something. All right, so if we go back and review, we have our close-up shots, and then we have our just dynamic angles and poses of things. You really want to make sure that you study that anatomy like we've been doing in the past lessons. Just really get it down. Look up some videos of some things. Whether it's anime or live action, just martial arts films, things like that will really help out. Practice, practice, practice with reference, and then try to see if you can push yourself without it, okay, once you get that down, all right? Anyway, I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something, okay? If you liked what you see, you're new to the channel, please subscribe, like, share, whatever. If not, you just came down to learn this one lesson, I appreciate you stopping by. To all my students out there, keep on sketching. And until next time, I'll see you in the next one. Okay? Bye.